In the morning, with someone new, I wanna do the things they say we shouldn't do. I wanna wake up in the morning with someone new. Live life like it's a prison, break the rules. I wanna wake up in the morning. Let me catch my breath. I'm feeling stuck, and I don't know which way to run. I'm on a settled path, a one-way road, and I can't take it anymore. I started, I can't stop it, stop it, stop it. I'm done with feeling lonely, lonely, lonely. I know there's more than working, working, working. So go ahead and show me, show me now. I wanna wake up in the morning with someone new. I wanna do the things they say we shouldn't do. I wanna wake up in the morning with someone new. Live life like it's a prison, break the rules. I wanna wake up in the I just wanna dance and lose control. Get me to London or Tokyo. My head's within the clouds, my body feels the pulse. My feet are saying round and round we go.
Kim, are you still there? Hello? I am going to call your mommy.
I could be raw, I could be tall. I make you feel real uncomfortable. Can give you my finger, but not my hand. I won't do your silly little dance. Don't need hugs, done with the joke. I know your next move. I can be calm, moving fast. Catch if you can. Then I'm happy you can't stand it. Make me high then low. Told me let's take it slow. Next thing that I know, you got a next best hope. Summer soon, body snows, yeah. Soon to be
Kia ora koutou, everyone. Thank you all for coming to the Inclusion and Diversity session. I'm Leon. I'm purely here to moderate, as in I let these two talk and I go and hide off on the side. It's going to be great. We've got Alicia Emma here and we've got Chris Cormack here, who are amazing. They've got introductions for themselves. I'm not going to take away from any of their moments. And enjoy the session. Thank you.
Tēnā tātou, i te tuatahi me maumahara tātou ki tingi tūheitia, wihi te pō, ka moe ia ki te taha o tōna māma I nāianei. Ka tahi me miki, ka tahi ka tika me mihi ki te araki nui kuini ngā wai hono i te pō. An amazing day today. A new te ariki nui, new leader of the Kingitanga movement. And I don't know if you noticed that most of the days of this week it was pouring rain, and then today was bright sunshine as soon as that was announced. So I also want to mihi to the mana whenua o te rohi nei, Te Atiawa Taraniki Whānui e mea Ngāti Toa Rangatira hoki. Ko waiu he tūaki e mihi ana ki a koutou, ko Chris Cormack taku ingoa, he ria hau o kaitahu rātou ko Kati Mamoi ko Waitaha, no moira ki a hau, engari e noho ana au ki whanganui a tara i Naenei. I'm Chris Cormack, and I'm from Moiraki in the South Island, but I live here in Wellington, and I affiliate to, thank you, I affiliate to Kaitahu Kati Mamoi and Waitaha iwi in the South. I'm going to let Alicia introduce herself now.
Kia ora, ko Te Ati Haunui a Pāpārangi te iwi no Taumaranui me Cambodia me India o, kei te noho au ki te whanganui a tara ko Alicia Amohi tōku ingoa, so I'm Alicia. I was born here, but, and I have whakapapa to Taumaranui and India through my dad and to Cambodia through my mum. Yeah,
Cool.
Is that all we have to say?
I think so.
Cool.
And just a little disclaimer before we start, these words are not words that Alicia and I have come up with. These are words that have come up through licensed translators from Te Taura Whiri Te Ruo and through sites like Paikupu and things like that. So we'll be introducing them to you, but we don't claim to have made them or anything like that. So what we're going to do, if I can find it, here we go. So we're going to start with some brief pronunciation. Te reo Māori is really easy because the vowel sounds do not change. Unlike English, it doesn't matter what consonants you put next to them, the vowel sounds are always the same. So this is the little bit of interactive session. So I'm going to go through them, and then I'll get you to repeat after me. So at the vowels in Te reo Māori are a, e, I, o, u. And so can everyone do that with me? A, e, I, o, u. And then if you see a macron or a tohu toa across the top, all that means is lengthen it. So it doesn't change the sound, it's just longer. So a, e, I, o, u. So those are the vowels. As I said, they never change. Doesn't matter what consonants you put next to them, that's the sound. So it makes pronouncing Te reo Māori really pretty easy. There's another couple of sounds that sometimes people have trouble with, and they're the two diphthongs that we have in Te reo. So ng, so the sound of ng as in sing, that sound, and f, the WH is a f sound, unless you're from up north, in which case it's a h sound, and if you're from Taranaki or Te Ati Haunui, they drop the H, which is why you write whanganui as whanganui, but if you're from there, you say it as wanganui, you drop the H. But for most iwi, the NG is ng. For my iwi, that's a K sound, so just to confuse you. But there's dialectical differences. But that's basically those vowels and those two diphthongs, and the rest of the consonants just ha, ka, mana, para, ngā, wha. That's all the sounds, and you do that with each of the vowels. There's a song, I'm not going to sing it. I once got asked to stop singing karaoke, so I'm not going to repeat that there. So I'm going to flick over to another couple of ones as well, just because of where we are. So there are kind of two names for where we're standing at the moment. Te Whanganui a Tara. So Tara was an explorer who found Wellington in probably around the 800s, maybe somewhere between 800 and 1300. No one's quite entirely sure. And so Whanganui means big harbour. So the big harbour a Tara, but which is kind of more Greater Wellington. And then Pōneke is sometimes the other word you'll hear for this area, which there's differing opinions on. The English name of Wellington originally was Port Nicholson, so Pōneke may be a loan word from Port Nick, which is what the English used to call it. But Te Atiawa say that Pōneke is a shortening of Pōnekeneke, which means to sneak in the dark. So I'm not sure which one of those is correct, but you can use Pōneke for Wellington proper, Wellington City, and Te Whanganui a Tara for Greater Wellington. Right, over to Alicia.
Cool. So we took you through some vowel sounds and some consonant sounds so that you could see the words and try and apply them. And we'll go through them together. But all of the words of the kupu that we're going to go through today are words that you might see in your work or in the internet space and the networking space. So it's useful to know them, and we'll tell you more about why at the end. But for now, we're just going to learn them. So this one is Pumatua Mo. Pumatua Mo. Beautiful. So when we break that down, Pumatua means to capitalize, Mo means to hold or grasp. Any ideas what this might mean? Call it out. Or really quietly say it in your head, which is what you're doing. There's a bit of a hint in the way that it's written. It means caps lock. Ah, yeah.
There we go. So our next one is whakaaturanga. So whakaaturanga. And if we break that down again, whakaatu is to present, to show, and ranga makes a passive, so presenting or showing. So in the context of IT, what do you think that might be before I show you the next slide? Well, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah. These were animated GIFs, but they've turned into not.
So just use your imagination.
Yeah.
Cool. Our next one is roro hiko. Say it with me, roro hiko. So if we break that down, roro means brain and hiko means electric. So where might you find an electric brain in our line of work? Yes, it is a computer. That's what you're doing right now.
This one, you don't need to guess because you can't break the word down anymore. So raronga, you'll probably hear this a lot, increasingly more over the next few years. Raronga, which, do you want to say it with me? Raronga, yep, raronga, starter. So this gives me a little bit of opportunity to talk about Te Mana Raronga, which is the Māori Data Sovereignty Network, which is why you'll hear a little bit more about this over the next few years, as there is an increasing push by Māori and Indigenous populations around the world to have more control over their data. So check that website out on your own time, have a read. It's got breaks down 6 principles of doing Māori data sovereignty. None of them are particularly controversial. I argue that they're just good ways of doing data governance, and if you do it right for Māori, you end up doing it right for everybody. So I encourage you all to have a look at that one.
Cool. Our next kupu is ipu. Yes, this is perfect because the talk before us was all about this. So ipu means a vessel for holding something. So if you were in the session in this room before, any ideas what this one might mean? So ipu can mean containers. So containerization, we were just hearing about Kubernetes. The GIF was made that funnier. But oh, you can do the next one.
This is another one you don't really have to guess for, but we put this in because it's a lot of what you care about. So tuahanga is infrastructure. So tuahanga. Again, just when you see the Mac on, it's just lengthen the vowel, but it doesn't change the sound. So we'll have you all fluent by the end of today, or at least sounding fluent.
Cool. This one will be familiar. Oh, what happened?
I forgot to do that. So
Oh.
go one more. My fault.
Tuahanga. Okay. This one will be familiar to people in the room. So when we break down ipurangi, we've got ipu again, which we've already learned is a vessel for something, could be a container, and rangi can mean sky. So in this context, ipurangi means, who wants to call it out? Internet. There we go. So
Planes in the sky.
one of the sponsors of this conference is Ipurangi Aotearoa, Internet New Zealand. So they use that one a lot.
All right. This is one you can guess again, hopefully. So tārua. Tā is to net, snap, a snare or trap, and rua is to. So if you're snaring or netting or trapping to, what might you be doing? Backup? Does someone say backups? Okay. There we go. Again.
Cool. Our next one is hātepe, another one that you, it's the word is the word. It doesn't get broken down much more, but again, it's got that, the macron. So hātepe. Anyone want to say it with me? Hātepe. Yeah.
And another one. This is another word that you probably heard a lot recently. If you're in Aotearoa anyway, we had the Te Hapori Matahiko Awards recently. So again, if you break that down, hiko is electricity. So this is matahiko is digital. So anything, you can use that for anything digital. Digital data, digital things. It's not restricted to just IT.
Cool. Our next one is a long one. So it's ātanga, papatono, taupanga. Should we break it down? Ātanga, papatono, taupanga. Nice. So when we're looking at each of those kupu, ātanga is interface, papa can be broken down into board or surface, tono, command or law, papa tono, program, and taupanga, application. So with that context, what do we think this could mean? Yes, APIs, nice. We're hoping that it would end up being an API still, but
not quite.
Not quite.
The other thing that while we've got here, you might notice that it goes interface, program, application, and that's quite common in Te Reo, that will be not backwards, but the opposite to English. So adverbs go after nouns and stuff. Yeah. Change. Is this me or you?
You.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Oh, yeah, cool. So motuhinga, which is again one we can, motu hehinga, I should say. Motu, hehe, and ngā. So motu hehe is authentic, and ngā is making it passive. So I can't say it without giving it away. Yes, there you go. Oh, it didn't work. This was a really cute one of a hedgehog bypassing the fingerprint authentication on an iPhone to log into it. Imagine that.
Here we go. All right, our next one is
Too long for the screen.
whakamanatanga. So we can break that down into manatanga is authority, and then whaka is to make. So again, it kind of gives itself away, but anyone want to guess? Yeah, authorization.
We've lost all our pictures.
It was just Homer. It's okay.
Regularly the bane of our existence. Oh no, I can't say what it is, but you'll figure out why I don't like it afterwards. Pu tiro tiro. So pu is to make into a bundle or a ball, and tiro tiro is to look or inspect. This one's a little bit harder to guess, but does anyone want to have a guess? Okay. Web browsers. So yeah, as web developers, it's a love-hate relationship. Mostly hate.
Cool. Our next one is whārangi ki te roki. So we'll say it together. Whārangi ki te roki. So when we break that down, whārangi is page and ki te roki can be cache. And some of you might recognize that kite is also bag. So this one kind of gives itself away as well, but that is about caching pages. Where do we need to put
There we are, up a bit, I think. So kaituhi, waihere. So tuhi is to write. So kaituhi is a writer. You often see it used for author as well. And waihere is one word for code. There's quite a few words for code, but waihere is one of them. So I think you could probably figure out what a kaituhi waihere is. Yeah, a developer or a software engineer, a developer, anywhere around that kind of thing. Code writer.
So you can get that printed on your business card.
Yeah.
Tumo is to serve. So again, tumo. So it's longer at the start. Any ideas what this one is? Yeah, easy one.
In the same kind of vein. So pai tuku tuku, you may, if any of you have ever been to a marae or even across the road at Te Papa and you've, oh, I'm not looking at the wrong one. I'm skipped ahead. Okay. Tumo takawainga. I'll do that instead. So tumo is server, as we've thinged, and takawaina means intermediary. So what do you think this might be in that context? That's it.
You want to do the next one too?
And I'll do the next one because I already started. So yeah, proxy server. So as I was saying, pai tuku tuku, if you've been to Te Papa or been to Marae and you've seen the panels with the cross stitch, that's tuku tuku. And so tuku tuku is also a word used for a web that spiders spin stuff as well. And pai is can be used for site. So pai tuku tuku. So that kind of gives itself away pretty easily. But does someone want to yell it out anyway? Yeah, there you go. There we go. And
Cool. Oh. Our next one is Pūmanawa Rorohiko. Oh. So we already learned Rorohiko. Who remembers what that one is? Yes, it's computer. And Pūmanawa is beating heart. So any idea what, when you put them together, what that could mean? It means software. Yeah, so our software is the beating heart of our computers. That's kind of nice.
so we're moving into a different kind of sphere of online stuff. So murere. Murere means to be clever, to be intruding, or to hack. So if you use that as a noun, what do you think we might be talking about there? I heard it. Yeah. Someone in a hoodie, like they always wear hoodies. You're not allowed to hack unless you're wearing a hoodie. It's the rules. Leon, where's your hoodie?
Cool. Our next one is haumarutanga. So haumaru means safe or risk-free, and tanga is kind of what makes it like a concept. So passive ending. So if we have something that's safe and risk-free, we're describing the concept of security. Yeah.
And so if you've got, if you're on one side of the security, you may have people on the other side, and a word you can use for that is whainga, which is an adversary or an opponent. So in kind of the InfoSec world, and again, another word you could use for hacker or an ABT or anything like that. It's an adversary. There was a really cool GIF that you missed out. Yeah, I can't say the name of the websites because it's not family appropriate either. But look for dog hitting man and you'll find this one.
Yeah, if you remember anything from this, remember that. All right, our next one is whakahotuhi, whakawhiti pai. So we already learned that pai is site. Whakahotuhi means to script, and whakawhiti means across. So what does this mean? Call it out. Cross-site scripting. You're right. You got it. That one's a long one, so it's hard to say.
So whakaeke, to attack, and waingarahi, intervening space. So attack across in the intervening space. Does anyone know? I'm looking more at Leon for this one. Does anyone know? Well, are you the only one I know who does security stuff in the room? So whakaeke waingarahi, so attack in the intervening space. Close. It's what they used to call man in the middle attack, but person in the middle attack. So it's that, yeah, putting a proxy server, essentially, well, attacking in that space in the middle, yeah. Yeah, it's really hard to find an image for that.
And
no.
next one, ah,
Yeah.
you can't see it, but it's whakaeke, which we just learned from before, pūreire, inga inga. So whakaeke is again attack, pūreire is buffer, and inga inga is to be overflowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that one worked.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Ah,
Yay. No, we'll go back and start again. No. So that one, yeah, it can be it's a form of DOS. It's a buffer overflow attack is what we're talking about more there.
oh yeah, I didn't explain it.
No, it's all good. So whakakore, to deny, so you preempted my slide there. Whakakore rātonga, deny rātonga service. So we kind of have already known what that is. So a denial of service attack. Not necessarily a distributed one, but a denial of service at least. So yeah, like that.
Oh, this next one is he tini hanga. So he is to fish and tini hanga is to deceive or trick. Any ideas what this one is? Yeah, but not this one.
Fishing with a PH.
Yes.
Get and play.
Is this the one where we keep waiting for? Oh, that's right. We kept waiting for him to fall and he never did. Deceived us.
So this one is whakamātautau ngoto. So whakamātautau is to test or to try out. And ngoto is to penetrate. So it's something that security professionals do. That's it. Pen testing. Yeah. Just like that.
All right, this next one is whakahaere tapi. So whakahaere is to manage or control, and tapi is to patch or repair or mend. Any ideas what this one is? Yeah, patching, yeah. Yeah.
It's really hard to find images for patching as well. We went through lots and then we're like, fixing a roof, that's close enough. So this is, yeah. Whakaeke rā orite. So whakaeke, attack, rā te orite, the same. So this is kind of the worst thing that can kind of happen to you. Yep, Leon's got it already. Does anyone know what this might be? Yes, 0 day, exactly.
Oh, this next one is ara rere. So ara path or rere to fly. If any of you have flown Air New Zealand, you've probably heard them say waka rere rangi, and that's about flying. So any ideas what this might be? Yes, I wasn't sure if someone would get that, but yeah, it's about routing. Nice.
And so this is kind of what you're trying to avoid when you're routing is aku tō. So aku tō, slow of movement. So in terms of networks, what might we be talking about there? Yep. Yep, exactly. Latency or lagging.
Cool. And now we're getting into some kupu that we just thought would be nice to include, nice to kind of present about, I guess. So this one is tikanga whanonga. And so tikanga, you might have heard that one before. It's about correct procedure, right, things being right, having rule, reason. And whanonga is conduct. Any idea what that might mean? Yeah, code of conduct. Nice.
So kind of the reason for having a code of conduct, urutanga. So uru is to be included And tanga is the act of including, so it makes it into a verb. So can anyone guess what that might be? It's kind of in the title of this session. Yeah, exactly. And this kind of, you can also use it for accessibility. So inclusion or accessibility. When you're talking about the web, you can use urutanga to talk about the accessible web.
And when you're building accessible websites, you might want to use kuputuhi whirinoa. So kuputuhi is a short piece of text and whirinoa is alternative. So what might this be? Alt text. Yeah. Yep. So alt text. So the things that show on your graphs and images and charts when they don't load. And that's good for screen readers and also low broadband users.
And so this is one we included because of one of the themes of this conference. So manua, roa, you've heard pu manua, beating heart, you've heard manua a few times. Manua is one of the words for heart. You can use ngako as well, but manua is the one we're using here. And roa means long. So this one's a little bit harder to figure out because this is an old kupu. This is not a new one that's been adapted. This is one that's existed for a long time. But in the theme of, well, actually, maybe the GIF will give it away. But yeah, and I'll just put the GIF up and we'll see if you can figure it out from that. Similar. Yeah, it's resilience. It's really hard to find a photo of resilience that isn't really just pressing. So yeah, manua roa, to be long of heart, to be resilient. Yeah.
Want to start?
Okay. So you might be wondering why we chose to do this kind of thing. Well, there's a bunch of reasons. One is that we are into the third day of Mahuru Māori. So Mahuru Māori is a concept that started 4 years ago by a guy, Parione Gloin, who just decided Mahuru is, it correlates a little bit to September, but it's a lunar month, so it's not always in exactly, but he decided to go an entire month only speaking Te Reo Māori to see if he could. And that's grown into a movement so that every year in Mahuru, people who can speak Te Reo try and speak as much as possible. So that was one of the reasons we did it. Coming up in a couple of weeks on the 14th to the 21st of December is also Te Wikia Te Reo, September, is Te Wikia Te Reo Māori, so Māori Language Week. That's done by Te Taurawhiri or Aotearoa, the Māori Language Commission. That's a celebration every year for 1 week. The theme of it this year is ake, 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 which means like forever. And so again, it's encouraging us to use Te Reo Māori in all contexts, not just on the marae, not just at home, but in our workplaces and in conferences and stuff as well. Do you want to take the next point?
Yeah, and so this is a session for diversity and inclusion. And so we thought rather than talking about it, we'd show you a tangible way that you can be more diverse and inclusive in your work and in your workplaces. So language is one way that we can make what we do accessible to more people. And something that you might not know is that in the last census, nearly 33% of people under 25 stated that they whakapapa Māori, that they identify as Māori. And so that's a lot of people. That's a third of people under 25. And so if you don't have the capability for people speaking Te Reo Māori, because a lot of these people are Māori first, they're speaking Māori first, then you're excluding them from your work and you're excluding them from innovation. And so if we're talking about being diverse and inclusive, one way to do that is to be accessible through language. And so these kupu that we've given you, hopefully they will open up some doors, not only for you, but for the future of our workforce. Yeah, I think that's all we wanted to say. What did you?
I was just going to also say that also some of the things are like, I don't know if you noticed, but some of the words I just really like. I really like the concept of pumanua, rorohiko, software being the beating heart of a computer. Sometimes just listening to things in a different language gives you a different way of thinking about things as well. So it's another way of just broadening the way you think about things. Cool. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all we wanted to say at this stage.
Thank you.
However, I'm not letting you leave just yet. We've got a whole bit of time, and especially with this sort of topic, we want a lot of time to have questions, especially from the audience who will be coming from very different backgrounds. A lot of you will be from outside Aotearoa, so this will be a complete new concept, and you'll be wondering how you can maybe adapt it to your local culture, kind of what you've got there. So we've left the entire rest of the session open for Q&A. We've got 2 microphones there. You can come up, ask questions.
Okay, hello, I'm Ibni from Bandung Institute of Technology, Indonesia. By the way, thank you for the presentation. It was very interesting, and how you say the vowel is like exactly the same, like my language actually, like a, I, U, E, O, exactly the same. So it was interesting for me. And I would like to ask, where can we find other internet or networking words in Te Reo Maori?
Yeah. Thank you for your question. So there is a website called Paekupu, paekupu.co.nz. And there are words on there that have been developed for education. So science and what were the other ones?
So maths and technology.
Maths and technology. So those are all words that our young people studying science and technology today are learning. So that's a good resource for more kupu that we didn't share today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to add some more questions in. I know asking questions is scary.
Yeah.
For those of us who do not know much Te Reo Maori or want to learn, where would you recommend going? How would you recommend engaging with this?
We're lucky now. Well, we are lucky. We live in a time where we have so many ways we can do this now. So if you are a New Zealand resident or a citizen of New Zealand, you can do any of the courses through any of the wānanga for free. So they're entirely free through Te Wānanga o Aotearoa or Te Wānanga o Raukawa or Te Wānanga o Awanuiarangi. But there are also on Massey University's website, there's another one which is called, can't remember, but it's free for everyone, no matter where you are in the world. There's also a great series of books by Stacey and Scotty Morrison called Māori Made Easy, and that basically there's 5 books there, and each of the books, it's basically a year's worth of exercise. If you do the exercises once a week that they set, by the end of those 5 years, you'll be pretty fluent. By the end of 1 year, you'll be working competence. Then there's the internet. There's tons of resources on there as well. Some of them are varying quality. Do not trust things like Google Translate or ChatGPT for Te Reo Māori. It will give you an answer. It probably won't be correct, but MaoriDictionary.co.nz is another good one.
And just to add to that, because those are all great resources for kind of studying the language, there's also more and more movies and media using Te Reo Māori, also music. There's a couple of albums now called Waiata, and so those are mostly New Zealand artists that have taken their songs in English and translated them into Māori and re-recorded them. So that's a really great way to learn, especially if you already know the songs, so you already know what the words are and what they mean. To hear them in Māori is a great way to learn. Yeah.
My name is Benju. I'm from Taiwan. So my question is, I'm guessing all of the words we learn, since it's mostly about internet, they're all translations from English, right? It's like what we use in Chinese is mostly just translated from English because, after all, Americans invented the internet. So sometimes when I do a lot of translation work, because I do a lot of English to Chinese kind of thing, and sometimes you're like, why is it translated that way? That doesn't make sense. Is there occasions, or is there any particular word that you always feel like, if I did it, I would do it better? Those kind of words. I would like to listen to your experience. Thank you.
So my dad's a licensed translator, so he has lots. If he was here, he could tell you lots. But so a lot of the ones we've done here are the ones we've picked that weren't, they were more interpretations rather than literal translations. But one of the ones I hate is Niho Kahurangi. Niho tooth, Kahurangi blue, Bluetooth. And it's literally a Bluetooth. It's just a literal translation, makes no sense. It's much better to translate what it's talking about than that. So that's the one I hate. I don't think anyone uses that anymore, hopefully.
My least favorite is Zui,
Oh, yes.
which is something that was born out of COVID, and it's a combination of hui, which is the Maori word for meeting, and Zoom. And everyone started being like, come to my Zui, and I just think it's terrible.
We don't even have Zs.
Yeah, that's why I think it's terrible. You can just say hui online.
Thank you for the great presentation that is so engaging. Thank you. Name is Sonia from Papua New Guinea. Just one question. Apart from the movies and music, what other internet technologies or in the internet space, what could be used to, I guess, revitalize the Te Reo Māori?
So there's also, we're lucky here as well, we have Whakaata Māori or Māori television as well, which has two channels. It has one that's entirely in Te Reo and one that's is bilingual, and they are both streamed. And there's more and more actually. It was quite neat watching the Olympics, and that a lot of the content on that was in Te Reo Māori. So it's I hate the word mainstream because Māori are mainstream, but using the parlance of the day, there's a lot of Te Reo Māori making its way into mainstream media and stuff as well. There's more and more books. There's another project that where translators translated 100 of the most popular fiction books of the time into Te Reo Māori. And there's also, in New Zealand too, we also have Māori medium education schools now that have been running we're on our second generation of people coming through those. The newly crowned queen of the Kingitanga movement is one of those who came through Kohanga Reo Kurakapa. She's been through Māori education systems the whole way through. So there's that coming through as well. And that's forcing this change. As Alicia said, under 25s, 30%, 33, well, 32.8% of them have Māori descent, and a lot of those are coming through. So it's just this groundswell that's coming. What else online? Oh, yes. There's also Te Hiku Media, which is, they were an iwi radio station. They're based in Te Hiku Atika. So if you look at the North Island of New Zealand and you turn it around, it looks like a fish. So we're at Te Upuku Atika, we're at the mouth of the fish. Te Hiku Atika is at the tail of the fish, at the top of the North Island. So they're a conglomeration of 4 iwi, and they moved from being an iwi radio station to an iwi radio station and a software development company as well. So they're doing a whole lot of natural language processing. They have a really good text-to-speech and speech-to-text model for Te Reo Māori now as well, which you can use. They have an API that you can use so that you can add. I noticed we were speaking a language, not English, here. If we were using Te Hiku Media, that would be able to understand our Te Reo Māori and stuff in there. So that would, again, make it more accessible, especially to hearing impaired people who, if they were hearing impaired here, would just get speaking another language and would have no idea what we're saying.
Okay, thank you so much, Chris and Alicia, for that very engaging presentation. By the way, I'm Tupe. I'm a lecturer by profession from the National University of Samoa. I teach computing and networking. And I'm so blessed to be part of the ethnic community as a fellow, ethnic 58. So the question for tonight is, what can the ethnic community do to increase the number of Māori in network engineering?
Thank you for your question. There's a lot of things that this community can do to increase the number of Māori working in this space and increase capability. What you're already doing is incredible, and I think a lot of these things will translate into the Pacific and into the islands as well. So here in Aotearoa in New Zealand, we have a bunch of really great organizations that champion Māori in science and technology and run education programs. So one of those is Puhoro STEM Academy. I think they run training for, years 11 to 13. So that's higher end of the high school age. We also have Te Hapori Masahiko here, which is the Māori tech community. And they essentially have created a network for all Māori working in digital and tech and find ways to educate and celebrate them. For companies in this area, things that you can do to help is to offer internships and mentorship. Something that we often kind of say with hiring is don't expect Māori to come to you. You have to go out and find them. So going through groups like Puhoro STEM Academy and through Te Hapori Masahiko and through any other Māori that you already know is how you will find them. We also really encourage you to build relationships with Māori, with mana whenua, with the people of the area. And the work will come from that. The relationships have to be first, and then the connection and the innovation comes later. Anything you want to add?
And it's a long process too. So it's the people call it a pipeline issue. It is a part of that, but so we need to get more people coming through, but we need to have safe places for them to land when they come through too. So we can't just pump through a whole lot of these young Māori who know who they are, speak te reo, and then say, go and be as non-Māori as you can to get ahead in the IT field. So it has to be safe. So it's got to be approaches from both ends.
Hi, I'm Dale from the Department of Infrastructure in Australia. Just curious, with Maori having the vowels that use the bars over the characters, has that caused any problems in writing in tech? And are there any you've been able to resolve in using those special characters?
I could touch that one.
Yeah.
So there's lots of problems. Originally in websites, most of them couldn't do that, like before Unicode, at least, when you had. So we often it ended up being written with an umlaut, so with the 2 dots over, or just written without. Some iwi don't use the macron, they double vowel it, so that's one way you can get around it. So you could just double vowel, but you still can't use macrons in passports. So my son's name is Te Pō Ataro, T-E space P-O with a macron, Ataro. And his name is always written without, because in a passport you cannot use that. So there's still things. The other things, not so much the macrons, but a lot of systems aren't built with the idea that a first name might have spaces in it. So the English kind of idea that a first name is bounded by spaces doesn't work in Te Reo Māori, because my son's first name is 3 words, but that's all his first name. So he often ends up on Air New Zealand when he flies, his name will be written Te Cormac. Te means the, so it's just the Cormac, which I mean technically is, but that just breaks that. So there's a lot of things, and I think that comes from no one in the organization had that kind of name, so no one thought that someone might. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's the risk with Pākehā-centric, or sorry, Western-centric development, is that it's being built with that worldview. And this problem that Chris is talking about, where Māori names aren't acceptable in databases, is not just a Māori problem. It's also in many ethnic communities. Some of our names are really, really long, and databases aren't designed for that. So you have to cut your name off somewhere. So it's not just a problem here. It's a real problem across the world.
I'm just going to quickly jump in to add one thing, because this topic annoys me a lot. International domain names, they exist. They enable you to have non-Latin characters in your domain name. Not everyone supports them. A lot of registrars for domains do not support international domain names. A lot of DNS servers still do not support international domain names. So you can actually have non-Latin characters. You can have all your macrons from Te Reo, or you can actually have your characters from Mandarin or Cantonese, or many different languages. There is support for them in domain names and other systems. but a lot of places still have not caught up and not supporting these. So as the wider community, something that would be amazing is greater support and recognition for international domain names and supporting them because they're still very much a second-class citizen on the internet, which is one of those massive accessibility and inclusivity issues because it's an English-first problem and then everyone else is a second thought rather than bringing along all those communities with you.
Hi, my name is Alicia, and I've been in tech space for a long time. And when I think of diversity, I've been to so many conferences and even held diversity meetings. I've never seen one about language. And I thank you for opening up my mind because I was coming expecting something completely different and I'm blown away. And as an English speaker, as my first language, I take it for granted that we are normally catered to. And there's so many, and a lot of tech conferences use English as a base. I don't think about people that aren't included and language being a barrier for other people to participate. So I thank you for this experience.
Thank you. And we almost have the same name. So that's cool.
Hi, it's me again. So Leon talked about the internationalized domain names, IDNs, as we call it in ICANN. ICANN, so IPNIC is for numbers, and in ICANN we do names. So I was debating actually if I should have breathed this up because I felt like this is a little bit niche to this session, but so I am in ICANN and I am doing this generic names support organization. And we are doing a lot of policies, internationalized domain names. Actually, I'm proud to share with you guys, we are finishing our IDN policies process. And as we are going to roll out new GTODs, it will be possible to apply for IDN new GTODs in the future because it was banned because there were no rules clearly around, variants. For example, when you have like you were talking about when there's this thing, is it a script or is it like a non-script? Is it variant? It's not a variant. So I'm proud to share that we will be expecting a lot of IDN new GTODs in the future, and definitely we hope that will encourage a lot of more applications and all kinds of services that accept more languages. But that's definitely like we said, it's like a community effort. We really have to do it together. And we have a universal acceptance project in ICANN, which is, well, it's like what its name called, right? We hope universally IDNs is accepted in any kind of applications. So yeah, I just wanted to use this chance to promote because our IDN ambassadors who's not here, he flew out this morning. I was like, I have to say it on his behalf or he's gonna be very pissed at me. So yes, IDN is very important. And actually, I actually have a question for internet and sorry, not for you guys. I was wondering, are you going to apply for that Maori in the new GTOD application round? Because I think that would be like a great opportunity for this diversifying tech through languages.
Such a good question. So we have .Māori as an unmoderated second tier domain and .iwi.nz is a moderated second tier domain. Internet New Zealand itself wouldn't chase a GTLD .Māori unless Māori were asking us to, because really it's Māori kupu. So, there's a big conversation about the word Aotearoa. And I can imagine a time in New Zealand when New Zealand isn't the name most people use most of the time. I think that's coming. So .nz might be completely redundant. So what would our new AO is gone? So I think there's some big conversations for us to have as a community, to be honest. But I did want to support what you said about the universality work at ICANN. And the other thing that Internet New Zealand, Ipurangi Aotearoa, is wanting to do at ICANN through the Māori communities that we talk with and that our Māori staff is bring more Indigenous voice into the multi-stakeholder processes. So we're just at the beginning of that. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be not just defending multi-stakeholderism as it exists today, but developing it into something that actually reflects that important Indigenous voice in the world. So if anyone's interested in being linked in with that action, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I think that's our time, but I just wanted to finish by saying that it's really cool that we can have a presentation like this and facilitate a conversation like that, because when we're thinking about tech, sometimes we forget about who it's for. And when we bring language into the conversation, that means we're thinking about communication, which means we're thinking about people. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. You can find them later. Go and enjoy your drinks.
Wake up in the morning with someone new. Things they say we shouldn't do. I wanna wake up in the morning with someone new. There's all I get to be.